So here we are, race 7.11, the 11th race in Series 7. Those are the standings. Freeze pain if you want, but basically Alistair McAlpine probably a shoe-in for the title. Wouter Clay is probably going to take the best of 6, and intrigue in the ladies league. I think Maria Vitsky is not here today. I think she's out certainly in an event in the Dominican Republic, so not racing, which opens still for Eileen Davison to take top spot in the ladies league. Now then, looking through the riders at the back, we normally view from the front to see how everybody's panned out. This is going forward from the back this week, and you can see the splits as we jump through them, as we move up to the front group, and you can see it's quite spread out. This is a different view, as I say, to what we normally do, and you can see how spread out it is. But eventually we reach that front group, and you see Yep Snaver is out there, and it's full of names you'd expect: Stevie Cooper, Jorgen van Beurs, Grant Webb, Wouter Clays, Steve Bellio, Alistair McAlpine, Francois Ike, James Melville, Anders Ostergaard, Tony Evans I see in there as well. These are names that you would expect to see in the front group, and you can see how quickly that pans out. 1.75 kilometres gone now, and we settle into our groups. People will find themselves hopefully in the right group for their ability, and they'll find themselves racing amongst peers. It's self-selection. We don't grade them. We expect you to land in a group that suits you. On the other hand, we're quite happy, and I think this is quite a challenge. I've always enjoyed this. If you can get in a group that's a little bit strong for you, see how long you can stay on, and eventually bow to the inevitable and drop off. And you can see here, this little group here, there's a couple of riders off the back, and they're struggling to get back on. If they don't make it, the best thing they can do is wait for Group 2 later on. But if they do make it back on, they're going to need to sit there and get some breath back. I think it's looking tight. I mean, they're not really making up a lot of ground, and if anything, the gap is extending, so they're not going to get back on. And this is typical of what happens on these races. I say that, and I think they might get back on now. What do I know? I think they're just pulling through. So Stevie Cooper out in the front for Glasgow United. 3 Glasgow United riders. You can see them in the GCN jerseys, the red and white with black shorts. Yep, Snaver next to him in an R3R jersey, pale blue at the top with red, white and black shorts. Look out for those. Moon Riders, Francois Ike, white jerseys with the green band across. We'll point out some of the other ones. Ratio Racing, black and orange. You'll see our West London guys in a blue, pink and white strip throughout the race. We'll pick out the other teams as we go. ECKD, if they've got any riders in, usually wear red. So there is teams competition, but basically we commentate this on an individual basis and look at the teams later. Going back through the field, we see some of the riders now, and you can see how split this has become. Very many people on their own. Now groups can still form. You can see here Rob Gilmore just behind Walter Gie, sorry, it's a G, not a Q. You see Brett Smith, Rob Gilmore there. They could form a little group and work together. Andy Evans there. Towards back, Harry Smits, our favourite Netherlander, Oscar Carvelio, Jessica Wright, delighted to see her here. Her teammate, as I say, Maria Vitsky, won't be riding. I think Eileen Davison is in the field, so 3 of the West London ladies made it on board tonight, and that's Jessica. She's just ahead of West London Bot, who is in fact the camera. Now behind that, if you look on your left, you can see the runnings at the moment. Danny Mills is behind the camera, but worryingly, Migu Canada doesn't seem to have started. Now I know Migu likes to finish every race and rack up the points wherever he finishes, even if it is last. So hopefully Migu will get going, and we'll see him later in the race. Stevie Cooper pulling out, and Rasmussen now is challenging him and pulling back a little bit. Francois Ike is also chasing back for Moon Riders there. Yep, Snaver just behind him. Anders Ostergaard, Wouter Clays, Alistair McAlpine, all in this group. Scott Iorush in there. Carl Dickerson, Jan van Beurs and Ivan van Beurs, the 2 brothers at 10th and 11th. Grant Webb at 12th. Marino Cesson for Italy also in this group. So quite a select bunch as we see as we see sort of little fragmentations. Hopefully that will come together. There's a West London rider in there. It's Top Jimmy. He's having a good week riding. So hopefully another good place for him. Did well on Monday in one of our races on another platform. So he's in good shape. I don't know if Monday's taking it out of him. It was quite hilly on that course, and he did remark to me he likes the hills. Now, if you look at the profile of this course at the bottom of your page, you will see that it's fairly green all the way with a couple of little lumps here and there. But then there's that big hill at the end, and that is where I think the decisive moves will be made out of the groups. That is Harrow Hill. It is in fact at the top of the hill as we look at Andrew Walker there and Stu Thorne, two West London riders riding together. I don't know if they're working together, chatting or whatever on Discord. I think they should know each other through our Discord group. Steve Bellio just in front. If they can get on his wheel, they get a bit of a tow. Let's see what happens. Will they catch up with Steve Bellio? It looks like they're going to catch up. Will they sit on the wheel or go by? Stu Thorne deciding, it looks like, to go by. And Eileen Davison on the wheel of Helveg there, but fighting to keep on it, I think. Rob Gilmore, Walter Gier, and Brett Smith sitting on the wheel of Walter Gier at the moment. Rick van der Laan has got Andrew Evans on his tail. Harry Schmitz, as we saw before, that's West London bot, so we don't need to see the bot. That's basically how we film these things, using one of those. So back up to the front, and it's Anders Ostergaard now way off the front, 59 metres. Just look at that gap. Now, what's the tactic here? You wouldn't normally expect just a third of the way through the race to go on a breakaway like that and expect to win, would you? So there must be some method in this. Now, what I do wonder, and this is very similar on the race we had on Monday on another platform where there was a big lump. Some of the people who weren't so good at climbing made a point of getting a bit of a lead before the big hill, and this can be a good tactic because if you're going to get dropped on the hill anyway, if you're a little bit ahead, it might be that they catch you up, and by the top you're not out of contention. So Anders really pushing for this early. He's up to 60, 62, 64 metres advantage, and we've only done just under 6 kilometres out of the 15.5 kilometres to race. So this is obviously a key tactic for Anders. We'll see how this plays out. Stevie Cooper for Glasgow United leading Francois Ike, and you look out of the pedal, clearly putting on some pressure, although he is going up the if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the blue triangle pointing downwards. They're going over a brown stage. This is one of these little kicks, the gradient up to just under 5%, easing off now as he reaches the top, down to 2.5%. So the out of the saddle bit was for that jump. But look at his lead, he's up to 70 metres now. So he's not done badly on that little lump, which I wonder if it makes my theory about getting ahead for the big climb a little bit redundant. Maybe he does like the climbs, maybe he sees this as his advantage. And it's still Stevie Cooper on the front. Jürgen van Beurs, one of the two Van Beurs brothers, in there too. Wouter Clays, you can see in the white jersey with the green band. Wouter very much in contention for 6 of the best competition in West London VR Series 7. That's your best 6 results, everybody's best 6 results. You can see also Jürgen van Beurs wearing that Ratia Racing jersey that I described in black and orange down there. Let's say best of 6. It basically means if you don't ride all 13 races, you can still win a trophy if your best 6 results are better than anybody else's best 6 results. Wouter looking pretty much on course for that, and another win today would probably put him almost unbeatable. So we'll see how this one plays out. You'd expect Wouter to be in the finishing bunch in this race. As I say, it's subject to what happens on that hill. That is where this race is going to be not necessarily decided, but certainly there are going to be people who lose the race on that hill rather than people who necessarily win it. Here's Ivan van Beurs, the other of the two brothers, also riding for Ratia Racing as we go back through the field. Carl Dickerson, South Africa and New Zealand. He's with a teammate there, Grant Webb. Top Jimmy just behind. Jimmy taking a wheel. Maybe the exertions from Monday hurting him a little bit. Andrew Krajewski just behind him. Craig Jones, the Welshman. Steve Bellio, the American, giving a couple of my West London riders a tow. Andrew Walker and Stu Thorne riding together. G. Santos. Eileen Davison now. She's not on anybody's wheel. She was on Helveg's wheel, but not at the moment. She was on somebody's wheel, I think, anyway, but not now. Rob Gilmore back there This is Brett Smith and Walter Gier just going past Brett there as we watch. Andy Evans will be the next rider behind them. There's Andy sitting up a little bit, not riding the fastest. He's only on a very gentle slope, so maybe he's had a little bit too many exertions. I think he was out riding on another platform last night, not in one of my races. Harry Smith's there. This is the bot. Danny Mills, as I said, behind the bot. The bot's designed to go slow and finish last, so there must be something wrong. Oscar Carcelier, I might have set the bot too fast, of course. Jessica at 37th. Migu Canada is riding though, that's the good news. So Migu is up and running. He is actually 4.5 or 4 1/3 kilometres behind Jessica, so I think we can assume that he's going to probably finish last, because that's a bit to make up as we take another look at the bot on our way back. As we go to the front, Anders Ostergaard now lead at 75, so it's stretching out a little bit, nearly 80 actually now on Francois Ike, Johan Aron, whom we haven't mentioned before. Jan van Aardenaard is there in 5th. Now Jan is 2nd in the GC series behind Alistair McAlpine. I'm sure they're marking each other, but I think as we run out of races, there's only 2 after this one. I think Jan's running out of races, so I think he's looking at 2nd on the podium, but he's put up a brilliant fight. But I'm delighted for Alistair all the same. I mean, Alistair's been around in these races a long time and hasn't seen these sorts of finishes, and he's really hit a rich vein of form, and I think it's long overdue, and I'm delighted for him. If anything, I would have predicted his teammate James Melville to be the Glasgow United rider to eventually do that, but no, it's Alistair that's having the good season, obviously put a bit of work in, so I think we're all delighted for him. We'll be delighted whoever wins the series. A lovely bunch of riders. We love this community, and it's great to be part of it. Stevie Cooper now, and how many times have I said Stevie Cooper's at the front with Wouter Close just behind, Scott Yarosh behind him, Jan van Aardenaard, Johan Aron, Alistair McAlpine, Marino Sesson, Rasmussen, James Melville, Johan Olofsson, and Jorgen van Beurs, Tony Evans in there too. So this little group now seem to have distanced themselves from everybody else. They've got 200 metres on the group behind. So again, I think this is another one of those decisive splits. We're still away from the big climb. There are a couple of little brown lumps before, but these are ramps, not climbs, as we go back through the field. Top Jimmy sitting on Grant Webb's wheel there, and they're just, I think, catching up with Ivan van Beurs by the looks of things. And Top Jimmy going around Grant, maybe doing a turn on the front. Craig Jones there on his own, Andrew Krajewski the same, and Stuart Thorne and Andrew Walker with Steve Billio still, but Stu putting a bit of effort on the front. Andy and Steve gratefully taking that toe, riding along at 37, 38 kph, and it's ever so gently, slightly downhill. It's just largely flat course. I mean, you will see those couple of brown marks on the profile at the bottom where there's a small ramp, and we saw earlier on how Anders Ostergaard made good use of that, but I don't think they will be decisive. This is Big Hill at the end, the one up to Harrow School. Harrow School, a very well-known school, probably the second most famous what they call public school, private school in the country. The school of Winston Churchill, in fact, and when you go up there, it is not dissimilar in old buildings and uniform to Eton. Brett Smith going past Wouter Gier there, and I don't know if Wouter's falling back a bit. I think maybe is Wouter going to sit on Brett's wheel? He's not losing too much ground, is he? Rick van der Laan in there, I see, as we go back through the bot. Oscar Carcelier, Danny Mills, and Migu Canada still riding, we're delighted to say. That'll be good for Jessica. She'll be delighted to finish ahead. Also, it's interesting here, isn't it? Look, on opposite sides of the road, everybody not taking the wheel. There's Jessica on her own, but very comfortably ahead of Migu Canada. So Migu Canada ends up usually in most races having a wonderful little sprint with Maria Vitsky, and we really enjoy those. But Maria, as I say, not here today. She's out in the Dominican Republic riding on a velodrome, and I saw some of the pictures, and the velodrome in the Dominican Republic looks absolutely fantastic. It's an outdoor one, but proper stands. It looks very, very nice as well, and I'm sure the weather's quite nice too. As we watch James Melville off the front, this time. Myself, the front, he's still a long way behind Anders Ostergaard. He's now got 120 metres on James. James pulling out 10 metres on the group, stretching the group a little bit. Yep, Snaver for R3R chasing down. Wouter calmly doing the same with Marino on his wheel. Stevie Cooper just behind there. Jan van Oudenarde. And there they are together. Alistair McAlpine and Jan van Oudenarde marking each other, the top two in GC. As I say, I think we're running out of races for Jan, but he's been a fantastic competitor in this series, and it's almost a shame you can't give you can give everybody a prize. I'm sure if Jan finishes second, we'll be sending him a trophy as well. Remember, we do send out trophies to the top three and the winner of the best of six and teams competitions too. So they're only small trophies, but they still look good on your shelf, don't they? Anders now has 120 metres, so it's holding steady, and with just 3.65 metres to go, that is quite a big lead. But now the big test. We're coming into that hill, and Anders is just hitting the bottom of that hill. If you look at the profile at the bottom, you see all those little triangles. The blue one is whichever rider we're looking at, so that's Wouter Claes. You can see there's one white triangle just ahead of him. That'll be Anders Ostergaard. So will Snaver, Wouter Claes and all the other R3R and Glasgow United riders now put in a huge effort and catch Anders on this climb? Now, it's a question I don't know the answer to. You can see the gradient 2.5 at the moment. The middle bit where it gets sort of quite brown on the profile, the darker the brown, reddy orangey colour, the steeper the gradient. You can see they're coming up towards the hardest bit, and already Anders is down to about 88 metres lead, so he's lost something in the region of 30 litres, and in fact he's 60 metres now over James Melville and Alistair McAlpine and Marcus Rasmussen, who are chasing down. Rasmussen, McAlpine and Melville now putting in some effort on this. You can see the gradient 5.7%. It's going slightly into the red, and they've got Anders' lead down to 30 metres. So my theory earlier that he was getting a good lead so that he could still stay with the contenders at the top of this is probably about right. 3.9%, and he's been caught. Will he be rushed by? And it's the two Glasgow United riders have got away from Rasmussen now, so there's a trio. Can Rasmussen get on it as they go up? And in the last bit, now they're over the steepest bit, so the gradient down to 1.9% at the moment. 2.2 is going up a little bit. They're going to go into another brown section, so it's 3.5%. Anders, though, is holding the distance between the Glasgow United riders. Can they pull away? Now, Glasgow United have had so many second and third positions in races. If they were to get a 1-2 here, it really would be something that's long overdue, and they are pulling away from Anders at the moment. There's a little way to the top of the climb, but it's not the worst bit. The gap's getting bigger as Anders is falling off, but it's still something he could catch up. Now he's taking the inside of the bend there. You get the slight advantage. You have steering on RGT, and if you go on the inside, it will save you a metre or two, and that gap is not getting bigger. They're reaching the top of the climb. They hit a 4% bit. Anders out of the saddle, pushing. If anything, I think he might be closing that gap. They haven't distanced him enough, would be my guess. They reach the top of the climb. They're going to go down any moment now. Here they are on the descent. Now what happens here? The best thing you can do on one of these descents if you're racing is pedal, and people do make good ground on it. I think the gap's opened up a little bit, but can Anders close it? Looking backwards, Rasmussen now out of contention, I would guess. He's quite a way. He's about sort of 60 odd metres behind. Snaver, Wouter Claes even further back, so I'm not sure that anybody there is going to catch these front three. And this is going to be interesting, isn't it? And can Anders catch the other two was the first question, I suppose, wasn't it? As we look back in the crowd. Now, this is quite fragmented after that hill. These people on the descent, but all in ones and twos. We see Top Jimmy there with Ivan van Beurs, Ingmar van Beurs, sorry, I beg your pardon. Grant Webb, Craig Jones there, Carl Dickerson, and Carl still on the climb. These riders still on the climb. Andrew Walker, Stu Thorne there. That's split up, isn't it? Stu Thorne was in a little trio and now on his own, so it shows the effect of that hill. It does break groups, that's for sure. As we look at Eileen Davison on the ascent now, 3.6, she's on her own. Walter Gier, Brett Smith similarly. Here we have Andy Evans on the climb again. Harry Smits and Rick van der Laan, the two Netherlanders, probably chatting to each other in Dutch, of course. And there's the bot, Oscar Carcelier and Jessica Wright, of course. Migu Canada still there, but a long way back if you look at the triangles at the bottom. So looking at the front, Anders has got in with the other two, so we've now got a Glasgow United sandwich with Anders in the middle. Anders taking a turn on the front. They've only got 500 metres to go. Is he going to break for it? I think that's a bit early. James Melville just dropping off the group there. Could be dangerous. Needs to stay in touch. Pulls it back, gets into the trio, takes the wheel. The smart thing to do. Anders is not breaking away. It is Alistair McAlpine that has. James dropping off a little bit. Is James struggling to stay on or not? We have to ask ourselves, but he pulls it back. He's back on. 43 kph. This is -1. It's not the fastest finish we've ever seen, but it is only 3 riders and not a large peloton. Anders now pushing for the win. Can he get it? He survived the hill. He got his tactics bang on, but it's James Melville pulling away. James Melville now in the lead. He's got a couple of metres on the others, but I don't think that's a lot. 50 metres to go, and Anders has gone round him, and in fact it is James Melville who wins. Alistair McAlpine in third position, just behind Anders. That little push at the end by James, taking the race. Absolutely fantastic. Well done. And Alistair McAlpine would be more than happy with that third, because I can see that Jan Vanner is back at 11th as we see Jep Snever and Francois Ike there coming in at 8th. Scott Yoris coming in 10th position. Stevie Cooper just beating him, the other Glasgow United rider. Johan Aron looks like he's coming in next. Here we have Johan coming through the finishing straight. That's what it looks like when you're riding. And Tony Evans Tony Evans didn't. I thought Tony Evans was going to take a place from him there. Jan van Oudenaarde coming in, of course. Johan Olofsson for South Africa, New Zealand. Now coming home, last 30 odd metres. Johan riding, of course, for Sands, South Africa, New Zealand, as I just said. Craig Jones, the Welshman, as we see him coming in 16th place. And not a bad points haul either. Well done. You can see some of the. Hang on, look at Jorgen van Beurs. Did he take a place? I think he did. Sorry, it's Ivan van Beurs, isn't it? Ingmar van Beurs. Sorry, I think Ingmar took a place from him there. So we have a nice little group coming in here. This could be a bit of an interesting sprint at the end. Steve Belliot, Stuart Thorne, Andrei Gajewski. Steve Belliot, the US rider, on the front at the moment, and Andrei, a Polishman living in Manchester. Andrei going for it with 300 metres to go, pulling away, but he isn't making any gaps, and the other two holding on. Stu, if anything, dropping off a little bit. Looks like Stu might have been the one hurt by that as they go under two. I don't know, actually. Stu's never got out of the saddle, and he was waiting his moment, wasn't he? Look at that acceleration. Absolutely blinding sprint as he romps home. Creates almost a 20-metre gap between him and Andrei. Andrei coming in next in 22nd, and Steve Belliot sitting up and just... there's something wrong here for Andrew Walker. He's not pedalling. 0 output. Oh, no, thank goodness it's come back. There was a drop out there, so that's probably cost him a little bit in time, but he's got 200 metres on Santos behind him, so as long as no more dropouts in the last 500 metres, Andrew Walker should get home safely in 24th position. Santos in 25th, as I say, over 200 metres behind. So Andrew now with just 400 metres to go past the Harrow on the hill sign. Where actually the sign is not on the hill. It's the bottom of the hill. I think the area is called Harrow on the hill, mainly because the railway station was named Harrow on the hill, even though it doesn't go up the hill. Nevertheless, I don't know. I'm guessing that 200 metres to go for Andrew. Hopefully no more dropouts. Seems to be quite comfortable. cadence 99, power output 200. It doesn't suggest that he's actually sprinting for the finish, but I think with the finishing sight, he is going to get there, isn't he? As we see him come over the line in 24th position. Santos next, a couple of 100 metres to go to the finish. Helveg, I love Helveg's got brackets, VAT. If you're from some countries, you'll recognise that is actually a tax, value-added tax, although it may depend which country you're in, because, for example, France calls it TVA, tax value-added. Helveg then coming in. Eileen Davison taking the ladies' race, and I think that will put her top of the ladies' league. Rob Gilmore rolling home next, and Walter Gier will be the rider after him for Canada. Here's Walter now. He's got 500 metres to go. Canadian rider wearing orange. We're more worried about Migu Canada, who's over 4 kilometres behind another Canadian rider. I'm sure Migu will just eke it out and finish it. He's that character. I've never met the guy, but I watched him race so many times. I think it's all about finishing for him. And if he's got a chance to beat somebody in a sprint, he'll take it. But I think he's definitely not a quitter, and I think that stalling at the start is not going to put him off. So here we get coming up to the finishing straight as Walter Gier rolls in 29th position ahead of Brett Smith. I'm a little bit surprised Brett's that far back. I don't know if he's having a difficult week or not. I know we ran an in real life event with the club that was long distance on Monday, and I wonder if Brett's legs are suffering from that. I'm not sure which distance he did, but there was a 200 kilometre and a 100 kilometre option on Monday, so maybe sprinting with some of the faster lads in the club. He's got stiff legs today, because that probably looks a little bit out of character for Brett Smith. Andy Evans behind him, and then of course Harry Smits. We love Harry. 800 metres to go. Rick van der Laan, his compatriot behind there. Danny Mills, Ose Carcella and Jessica Wright before Migu Canada, we would hope. Saying 38, it will show 38 finishers, but of course one of those is the camera bot, so there will be 37 finishes today. Slightly down, and there are various reasons for that, but it will all pick up again very, very soon as we hit the winter months with another series of West London VR. 8 series, completing 4 years of riding. We're about 3.5 years running these series, and one of the most popular series around, so it's all worthwhile. A lot of effort goes into it, but we see a lot of riders, and you are such a wonderful community. It's our pleasure to do it. Confirmation of Migu Canada still in the race, as we see him pop up at 38th position on the caption on the side. And just the last 250 metres then for Harry Smits, and he's another couple of 100 metres ahead of Rick van der Laan. So, how will this affect the standings? I think we can assume that Alistair McAlpine's third, way ahead of Jan van Oudenhout, is going to ensure that Alistair is probably now a shoo-in for the title. Remember though that if something went wrong, if he had a dropout or something like that in the next race, and say Jan got 90 points, that would put Jan top of the table. So Alistair has to ride out the last two and get a decent enough finish, not too far away from Jan. So it's not over, but I think Jan's probably sort of like a bit frustrated that it's for all his hard riding, it's not quite enough. But then we've seen Alistair do so many series and not get a podium that we're delighted to see him get one at last. As we watch some of the last riders now coming through, Oscar Carcella in the green and yellow jersey. That's Danny Mills finishing. Just coming up to the finishing line now. And we get the results on the side because the bot has finished. The bot should come last, and maybe we said it a little bit too fast this week. But here's Jessica coming across the finishing line. And she will, of course, be delighted with the fact that she's beaten Migu Canada. We we won't let the fact that poor old Migu had a bit of a stall on the start. Here's Migu actually finishing the race. So that brings us to the end of all the riders. Where does that leave us in the table? Well, let's have a look at the moment. In a moment, should I say. But first, let's have a recap of the finishing positions as they finish. This is just the top riders, so we won't go through every position. Confirmation, James Melville beat Anders Ostergaard. Miguel Rasmussen settling for 4th place, but it's Alistair McAlpine rolling in out of that breakaway trio. Wouter Clay is usually so dominant, taking 5th place, but that's quite a dominant result given the people and the names behind him. Jep Snever, Jurgen van Beers, Francois Ike, Stevie Cooper, Scott Yarosh, Johan Aaron, Tony Evans, Jan van Oldenhout way back in 13th. Lost a bit of ground on Alistair this week. Marino Sesson, and I think the hill must have hit Marino. Johan Olofssi, Ingmar van Beers at 16th, Craig Jones 17th. Top Jimmy, first West London rider at 18th. Grant Webb for Sands at 19, Carl Dickerson for Sands at 20, Stu Thorne, West London at 21. So this is how the general classification looks, and you can see that the points gap now between Alistair and Jan in the top left hand corner is getting bigger. But look, Wouter Clay's looking very, very solid for the best of 6, as I said earlier. Only done 9 races to Alistair's 11, but his best 6 scored him 599 points. In fact, if Wouter to win one race, that would make him unassailable. Eileen Davison finally moves up into first position in the Ladies' League. The Ladies' League is based on your best 6 races. That's Eileen's 6th race. Maria not here tonight, so very sort of gracefully letting Eileen take top position. And Jessica Wright up in 3rd will be delighted, as she's probably now very much on course to get one of our trophies. Glasgow United dominating the teams. Team Sands, Moon Riders, R3R following up. That's about it. Thanks very much for being with us. We'll see you at the next one.